We've already got
We're
people in the chat, so that's cool. We get this pulled up on the TV. Looks like it's working. Cool. Welcome everybody to 2024. Why did that freeze on the TV? Hopefully it's not frozen in real life.
No, looks good on my
Yep,
end.
looks good. Yep, okay. It was just my TV being weird. So welcome to 2024.
Yeah.
We weren't planning on doing a live tonight, but we decided that didn't really have anything better going on, so might as well.
I told Brett, I was like, if you're down, I'm down.
Yeah.
Whatever. I didn't set up a ton of chores for the day, so yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Yep. So Wesley got home from a 10-day, 5,000-mile journey.
Yeah, just out wandering around.
Jumped in the truck and headed west.
Yeah, loaded up. I we were kind of not busy at work, so I had mapped out all these spots um, that I wanted to hit up and went and did it all. It's kind of hard to coordinate with like a bunch of friends for a trip that big. Plus, not everyone, of course, can have like 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
And most people have stuff they want to do on Christmas Day. So um,
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm tired of waiting on people. I'll just do it. Me and the dog. Um, Quite a trip. There's a couple nights where I didn't get to my destination in time, so I had to kind of wing it. But other than that, everything
Yeah.
went off without a hitch. Saw some cool places. It was cold sometimes, but it's kind of cool to go during the off season because you just don't have a rush of people to worry about, and that kind of
Yeah.
takes away from the experience, to be honest. So I'm cool with
Yeah.
some cold weather.
Yeah. I hear that. So, yeah. Well, so what do you think was your favorite thing you saw while you were gone? I had something in my freaking eye bothered me.
Making you emotional.
Yeah. Making me jealous was more like it.
um, I think the Oregon coast is cool. Definitely. So I'm like a big fan of mountains, and I like the ocean, and I think that like natural bridges area of Oregon, the bottom uh, west coast of Oregon, kind of had both those things combined. So that was pretty cool to me. Plus, that was like the warmest, surprisingly, camp night I had. It was like 55. It was perfect. It was just chill. It was a little rainy, but it's Oregon, so you're gonna have that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's Oregon in the winter. It's yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be rainy. Other
Yeah.
than that, this place called Alabama Hills on central west California was pretty cool. Um, I would like to see how close an airport is to that place because that would be really cool spot, I think, for nationals. Um, it isn't like a national park, so you could just have a bunch of people show up. I don't know, might be worth looking into. I mean, it'd be quite the haul for us, but
Yeah. 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 That's Oregon. Yeah. To get to the West Coast is a long haul for me.
yeah, yeah, this is close to like the Nevada, California lines, but that place is
Oh, yeah.
cool.
Even still, it's still a haul.
Yeah, um, yeah, that was the fun stuff. Everything else is a blast. I did go through Moab real quickly, but um, I wasn't trying to do too much in the Lexus because I don't have sliders, so I'm not trying to totally wreck
Yeah.
that thing. 18
No
hours away from
sliders.
home.
Yeah. No sliders and by yourself.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at line choice. I mean, I've just gotten good at just solo and stuff. I don't advise it to just anybody. you gotta know your rig and do a lot of research on what you're getting into.
Yeah.
But if you can manage all that, you'll be fine. But yeah, no, it was fun. There's a couple moments I was like, what am I doing out here? But, for the most part, it was pretty controlled and fun.
Yeah. Cool. It looked like a blast.
Yeah. What you and the fam get into?
Man, we really didn't do a whole lot. We went down and saw. We went down to Indianapolis and met up with her grandma and her aunt for a day, and then Christmas Eve we ate dinner at her mom and dad's house, and then Christmas Day we had everybody over to our house. So there really wasn't a whole lot of goofing around, which I'm thankful for because Thanksgiving was not that. Thanksgiving we went everywhere, and I was over it by the time I got home. And then last night for New Year's, it was just me and the wife sitting on the couch. Just hanging out.
I mean, that's also really cool.
Yeah. I think I fell asleep.
Yeah.
I fell asleep at like 11:30, and she woke me up at like 11:45 because I was snoring.
Okay, I was gonna say she wakes you up at like 12:10, like, all right.
No, she's like, you're snoring on the couch. I'm like, I know. It's not midnight yet. Leave me alone.
I can't hear the ball drop. Get up.
Yeah, pretty much. So other than that, there really wasn't a whole lot going on around here. Sand Hollow for Nationals, just saying, I don't disagree with that at all. I hope that it happens. I hope it's either Moab or Sand Hollow. I hope it's Moab over Sand Hollow, but either way would be super cool. I don't know. I've just heard rumors. So
I was scoping out Moab a little bit. I didn't get to Sand Hollow. I was on my list, but I was running a little behind. But it was an ambitious waypoint, so I didn't make it to Sand Hollow. But from what I understand, Sand Hollow would have plenty of parking. I'm not sure where I'm in Moab. You could park everybody.
Yeah. I don't. You would have to just pick a decent location that was near a parking area. I mean,
maybe the Slide Rock, like mountain bike trailhead. That's a big parking lot, but that's not as big as Cherokee Rock parking. So
I mean, isn't the parking lot at like Hell's Revenge pretty big too?
I aired up there. That was like, if this is the parking lot, the whole center of it is for car trailer. Like, it's a big car trailer thing. It's not that, to me, it's not that big.
Oh, okay.
That might be kind of tough. Potato salad.
I'll have to look up where that is. I'm not super familiar. I've been watching all kinds of Moab videos recently just because if it is there and I'm taking the Jeep, I want to know what I'm hitting. If Nationals is at Moab, I would drive out probably a week ahead of time. I would probably leave here on like a Friday morning, like early as the sun rises on a Friday morning, and drive probably to Denver, because Denver is on the way. So I would probably try to make it to TGH on Friday night and then finish the drive on Saturday and then have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to wheel before RC stuff.
Yeah, I would definitely drive out there. I vote late August. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Not at all. We'd be melted. Our tires would be very grippy.
Very grippy, yeah. Nationals is usually in April. So if it's going to be in April, they better start coming out with some information like now, because plane tickets for people and hotel rooms and whatever.
That's another thing, man. Moab's kind of sparse for hotels. I mean, they can hold a decent
Yeah.
amount, but if you when's Easter Jeeps or sorry Easter when's all that stuff, man? Because you gotta work around that. If there's any kind
Well,
of event there, that place is done.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Got to pick a non Jeep badge of honor trail because
Yeah.
they'll all be full.
Well, especially with what is it, 300 miles of stuff being shut down. Um, all
Yeah.
those trails are going to be the ones that are open are going to be overpopulated
Yep.
24/7. So that's going to
Yep.
be something they're going to have to figure out this year also.
Yep. I hope it happens though because it would be a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. People will have to get their boxes figured out for the new circle rules. They've had over a year to build now.
Yeah. Well, as far as I'm aware, there aren't any new changes to the rules. So, whatever. So, one thing I did 2 weeks ago, we didn't have a live stream last week, but the week before, we had Austin from Corrupt on while Wesley was out of town. And after that stream, I stayed here for a while and I worked on the truck for Chris Schumann, Schumann's C2 truck. So at Crawlapalooza, Chris left his truck in my truck. He left his truck in my Jeep, and he just told me to ship it back to him. So in the time between me getting back here and me shipping it to him, he decided he wanted a new chassis and that TGH wasn't going to do chassis anymore and whatnot. So I took Chris's truck apart and made him a new chassis. But what I didn't want to change, I didn't want to change too much about his truck because he liked the way it drove. So I didn't want to change geometry a ton. And also, the way his body was mounted was very simple, and I didn't want to change that either. So what I took was Chris had the Titan TGH Titan chassis, and he had cut there's normally a drop down for the front bumper, and he either cut it off with a butter knife or he broke it off, one of the two. But it is
the real score and break.
It is a very jagged cut. So, regardless, I took what he had and I paid attention to where there was marks on the bottom of the chassis from it hitting rocks, and there appeared to be some marks on the bottom of the chassis from him kind of smoothing things out a little bit. So I went ahead and did those things in a new chassis design. And also he had 3D printed a bracket to mount the forward motor mount, and it was like twisting. You can kind of see how twisted it is in that. It wasn't holding up very well. Whether it's like it was crushing, but it was twisting, and it just wasn't holding up very well. So I got rid of all that stuff. And I took the ATL, sorry about that, took the ATL Pro V2 chassis and modified the belly area and redesigned his front shock hoop and moved his forward motor mount just a little bit and came up with something like this. So if you use their Titan dual servo mount, which is different than the regular SCX-10 servo mount, if you use the Titan dual servo mount, the servo mounts like right at the front of the chassis, like right at the front bumper. And then when the motor mount was in here, when the front shock compressed all the way, his lower link just contacted the motor. And then at full steering, the front tire just missed the corner of the chassis. Like it steered around the front of the chassis instead of hitting the bumper, which was cool. And then like his rear links, he has the narrow, their bull nose skid, their real narrow skid that mounts in these closer two holes. But he had his rear upper link riser, so his rear lower links were mounted in this hole here, and his rear upper link was mounted way back here. So the length ratio was really, really whacked in it. So when you would compress the rear shock, the rear pinion angle would do this, just because of the length difference of the links. So I shortened that up and made that a little better. And Chris has his truck back now, so I don't have to worry about it being in my shop anymore.
Nice.
Yeah, so I worked on that for quite a while, and had, I think, three revisions of it. Not too bad, but I like the way it turned out, and he said it's a rock star. So
that's cool.
Hopefully after he puts some more time on it, he'll still think that. It really should drive pretty similarly to what it did drive before. I said the only geometry thing I changed was moving the rear upper links forward.
Yeah.
I didn't change the height, the height difference. I just changed the pivot location. So, but it should drive about the same for him. But I do really like how far forward everything sits, and how low everything sits. So when you compare it to our Pro V2, like you can see, this is the motor mount holes on our Pro V2, and this is the motor mount holes on the chassis for Chris. So it's like way far forward. And then that also allows you to move the skid all the way forward. So like this on the Pro V2 is where the skid plate's mounted, and then this is where it's mounted on his. So it lets you move everything way forward like a high-low, but or like our mullet.
Yeah,
but it keeps the whole front of the chassis short.
I was gonna say you could have just altered the front nose of the mullet maybe, and the shock tube could have been in the ballpark there, right?
Well, but the way his body was mounted was right off this frontmost hole on his shock tower. So I had to have something up here, and it just didn't look right. I tried that first. It just didn't look right.
Yeah. And I we don't really advertise it too much, but we do custom frames like that when we do have time.
Yeah, as long as you can be patient.
Yeah, because I mean that body he has is that setup looked like it was very unique to that body. So
yeah, that's why I didn't want
to too much.
Yeah, I wanted to change it, but I didn't want to change too much to where I would have to redo everything. Because if that's the case, then why not just build a different truck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully he likes it. He said he does, but friends are friends, right? So we'll see if he's at Nationals and has a different truck. I'll know the truth.
Yeah.
But of course, I showed the team drivers, and one of our team drivers wanted one. So he messaged Chris directly and asked if it was okay that I send him one. So I sent him one of the revisions instead of cutting a new one. I sent him one of the revisions.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where like it was close enough that like I did a little bit of filing on it to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to send it to Chris like that. So I fixed it in the file and recut another one. So realistically, it's the same, but I just had to do a little bit of clearancing. I tried moving the motor mount. I tried angling the motor mount to get it further forward and further down because he had straight front lower links on it. If he had bent links that I could like rolled to the side, I would have been able to lower. Yeah, I would have been able to lower the motor mount more. But I tried to lower it and tilt it to try to get the back of the motor up so that I could, get room for that lower link to have some extra room. But then I got into the back of the servo mount. So then I took and ground some out of the servo mount a little bit for the spur gear nut.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, you know what? Let's just do it right. instead of dicking around, let's just do it the right way.
Yeah.
So anyway, he should have a nice running truck. What's going on, Ryan? I need to come up there probably tomorrow and see you about some stuff. Other than that, I drove the VRD Carbon some more, and I have a set of sliders on it that are prototypes for cab-only stuff. It fits the creep cab only, and it fits the comp wagon body. The body posts are too high on the comp wagon body right now, but it does fit cab only stuff. That's what they're for. And I got my stance body in and painted. It turned out way more pink than I wanted. I wanted more purple than pink. But
yep, that's pretty pink.
it's a little pink. I may have to do something else with that because it is a little bit pink.
You can always wrap the outside.
I have a bed release for the VRD. I should match your slider position before I release it. That'd be cool. As long as, so like where that cross member is that you can put the body post on, as long as that's like just inside the back of the cab, it's totally fine. This body I've got mounted a little bit more forward. Hopefully I'm not blowing people's eardrums out. Like that cross member is just peeking out at the back of the body here on this one. So as long as the bed goes up to that, it'll be fine. Tom, I saw you let your kid drive it. That was cool. I saw you post on Facebook that you let your 3-year-old drive it. That's cool. I like that. I let my kid drive all my crap too. Let me see if this works. Headphone users, you may want to turn this down just a little bit, but I have 2 little clips. One is my hardline, and one is Josh Hibner's stock VRD Carbon, just on a quick little breakover. So you can see how much, like just a little bit of clearance at the back of the skid, how much easier it was to get up. And in that particular scenario, if there was a gate, just beyond that, and the front end slid over like his truck did, or he had to kind of work the truck or wiggle the truck over a little bit, it could have cost him a gate just by that little bit of area. Yeah, I'm glad he got that on camera. That's something he'll be able to show him when he gets older. So, Zach, it's funny you say this about a moon buggy chassis to Wesley because a buddy of mine the one that races the 4800 Ultra 4 car, wants to build a custom 6 scale version of his race car. So I was talking to Harley about how he scales, or how to print templates off of a CAD file. He told me to man up and make 3D printed jigs and stuff, and I don't know if I'm able to do that yet or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of sold all my welding stuff as far as like making a tuber thing. That was something I was interested in. I think at the very start of Brazen Scale, but kind of lost interest in that. There's plenty of other
Yeah.
people out there that do the same thing. Sometimes their prices are a little wild, or sometimes the lead time for that buggy's pretty. You're waiting a bit, but yeah, I felt like that market was too saturated, and I was amateur, so I wasn't really comfortable with selling anything I was creating.
Yeah. I don't comp. I just line kill. Not sure I need a better VRD chassis. It's not even necessarily that it's better, because the stock chassis is a fantastic chassis. There's just certain things that people like to change, and there are certain things that people like to leave alone. And the truck ran great stock. I loved the VRD Carbon as a stock truck. Where the stuff that I get to drive on usually has excessive breakover angles, because it's usually stacked up bricks or stacked up, piles of flat stone, like flagstone crap that you stack up everywhere, or cut off logs and stuff like that. That it usually always has 90-degree or more breakover angles, and it just seemed to hang up. So I tried to fix that. I got to change everything. Just can't help myself. And that also,
Yeah.
that also happens a lot too. And then if you want a flat skid instead of an angled skid, you can.
Options.
Yeah, you have the option to be able to do that if you want.
Yeah.
So,
I guess speaking of options, you were kind of pointing out earlier. I'd like to compare the past 3 years as far as like new products and releases versus what we've done last year alone.
Yeah.
'Cause I think
I
we've
didn't-
done so much stuff.
yeah, I didn't go back and compare last year to the year before as far as like how many products we released, but I was looking at things, and overall, our units sold was higher than last year. The number of orders we had was higher than last year, which is better than a lot of people can say, because a lot of the changes in the economy have changed things for a lot of people.
Mhm.
We released 9 new chassis this year, and added a minimum of 25 new products to the website last year, 2023. I don't plan on slowing that down at all either. So
I think that's impressive. Mainly because other than what the Hibby hooks and the Hibby rotors, everything's been our
Crazy.
own.
Yep.
So I've seen a lot of people add a bunch of stuff to their catalog, but they're just plugging in other people's stuff and stocking other people's stuff.
Which is also really cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I like seeing everybody support everybody. That's it's always a positive. But yeah, we added that many products of just ours.
Yeah, I was just kind of telling you, I wanted to be known that like how enthusiastic we are about this hobby, and we're just pushing our ideas and our thoughts of what our best interpretation of like performance crawler is. and we're releasing it to the masses. So it's kind of
Yeah.
cool. I think that we've done so much this year.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't plan on slowing down at all either. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
As soon as something new hits the shelf, I mean, you've got that VP on lock. I've been playing around with leaf springs and giving everyone. I think I've infected quite a few people according to the leaf spring mounts for F10s being one of
so
our.
I was gonna say that next. Sales by product on our website. The F10 leaf spring mounts are the number 4 selling product on our website. Yes, Josh. Leaf spring mounts for Vanquish axles are the number 4 selling product on our website.
uh,
The Pace Setter chassis for the SCX 10 Pro is at number 1. The 23 High Low is at number 2. Mullet chassis is at number 3, and F10 leaf spring mounts is at number 4. And actually, the 2021 High Low is at number 5 because we released the 23 High Low in what, May or June?
Yeah. So there's a lot of forward skid stuff out there. I'm kind of happy they people caught on people because I do believe the high-low is the OG forward skid. Nobody else. I mean, that was kind of a hard concept for even some of our team drivers, Jason, to grasp and build.
Yeah.
So I'm happy. I figured that was kind of a weird vision that I had, like concept. I was kind of happy to see people kind of pick that up and go with it. And now I see how many forward skid frames are there now from other vendors. I think 3 or 4.
I think there's probably 9 or 10 now. I mean, pretty much everything that's coming out now is a forward skid, which you know my feelings on it, and I'll be straight up too. I don't personally like the way the forward skid trucks handle. Either I need to build a different truck. I need to change the way my brain works when I'm building a truck that's a forward skid to make it work, or I just prefer a more centered skid.
Yeah.
The high-low is a fantastic chassis. It works great. I just prefer my standard forward skid stuff.
And I mean, kind of like the same when people ask about like, oh, what tires should I run? It might just be your terrain is better suited for the central skid forward motor mount stuff. I mean, that's probably a factor as well. I have access to huge slabs of smooth, like sandpaper granite. So, I mean, that's quite a bit different than what you've got going on up there. So,
Yeah.
Could just be a terrain thing. So, you got to build a truck accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah, let me know if you're ready to change that thing up. Like I said, it's not a must do. It's just if you want to change little things, you can. It allows you to stretch the wheelbase. If you want to stretch the wheelbase on a VRD carbon, your rear shock angle gets pretty aggressive pretty quick. So ours having the rear shock hoop moved backwards helps with that. It's moved back like 14 millimeters, so you can stretch the wheelbase over a half inch and maintain the same shock angle as factory. So full-size stickers are badass. Thank you. Somebody just ordered a bunch of them too. Saw that order.
Yeah.
Funny how G-Speed friends are now Brazen drivers. Gabe this year finally stepped up with some new chassis. So I think I think his line was getting a little stale and he needed to do something. So he finally did, and I see a lot of his stuff coming back up again. So good on him.
Yeah, no, it's cool. But I mean, in his defense, he's building out like a whole shop. It looks. I did think about while I was in Cali. I did think about swinging out that way and checking out the shop, but the cards didn't line up, but it looks like he's done quite a bit of stuff over there, which is kind of cool.
Yep, I am a little jealous of the rock layout in front of his shop. I wish I could do that
Yeah.
here, but I'd be on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so um, super stoked on the chassis I got this year. They performed very well. Keep on keeping on. Thank you, Toby. Appreciate it. Do you have any intentions on carrying stocking builder parts, axles, links, shocks, etc., or do you plan to keep it Brazen products only? So, my personal opinion is I'd rather have Brazen product only, other than the Hibby hooks and rotors.
It's almost like he knows someone. That's why we have Hibby stuff.
Without being a full-on hobby shop, it's hard to stock enough stuff. And while there's margins there, there's profits there, but we kind of went over that a little bit a few weeks ago on like the Black Friday sale stuff. When you have a 20% off sale on your website, but your profit margins are only 30%.
Yeah.
Or when the manufacturer has a 40% off sale on their website, which is cheaper than what you purchased it for.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that. And we have a hard enough time keeping our own shit in stock, let alone other people's stuff too.
Yeah. As
Black
much
Sheep RC, thank you. Thank you again, Black Sheep. Appreciate it. Answer any questions you got. Anyway, continue.
No, it's cool seeing the engagement on the chat, so we appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool. Honestly, I'd like to carry like F10 axle kits. But I would feel like a baller if I had like 10 sets of axles, and then 2 people would see that as an option and buy all of them all at once, and then, hey, when are the axles going to be in stock? And I'm like, okay, now I'm like back to nothing, I guess. It'd just be another struggle.
Yeah. I'm going to put this comment up on the screen because I must have an eyelash in my eye or something, but
you guys are making Brett emotional with all these questions.
So it was before Christmas or after Christmas? It was before Christmas, the Thursday before Christmas. The group of guys that I go to lunch with on Thursdays, we've all been buddies since like middle school, and we went over to my one buddy Tom's house. He's a metal fab guy, and he's got a 24 scale course that's built on skids, and he pulled that into the shop, and we had just kind of like a potluck lunch, drink beer, drive RC cars, whatever. So the last time I drove my SCX24 Gladiator was probably 8 or 9 months ago. So, and the last time I drove it, the servo wouldn't center. If you steered left, it would go like halfway back to center, and you'd have to steer left again, and then it would go back to center. So I had gone and bought a brand new stock servo at the hobby shop because it's what they had in stock. And I changed it out that morning, and I didn't even plug the battery in to check it. Went over there, and within like 60 seconds, the servo just died. Brand new servo. Turned it on, it steered great, centered, everything was good, worked great. So then it died. I'm like, cool. So they were all driving the AX24s, and one buddy was driving a C10, and one buddy was driving just the regular Jeep. So then they set up comp courses and had timer and all kinds of stuff going on. So I was like, I'm not going to play. I don't want to hurt your feelings with your own truck. And they're like, no, you got to do it. You got to do it. So sure as shit, I won all 3 rounds with somebody else's truck that I'd never driven before. So then I came back here, and I had intentions of just ordering a servo. and those intentions went off the rails. so now I have some big ass tires that a stock servo won't turn, and some nice Proline shocks, and I ordered a transmission, and I ordered new axles. So I'm basically building a whole new truck. So I might as well design a chassis and make one for myself. And if I don't hate it, it might be something. But Kelly, Happy New Year. Thank you. It's Josh Hibner's wife, Kelly. She's fantastic. She's meaner than shit, but she's great.
Hey, I think Josh needs that. He needs that balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you a while ago. I think for the materials in which people are gonna be interested in for the 24 scale, that's all you. Because I don't think anybody's gonna want metal 24 scale frames. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe comment, prove me wrong, but I'm just going on
Yeah.
a wild hair and saying no one's gonna want
Yeah.
aluminum frame rails for those.
Yeah. So I actually ordered the Hard Park Trans. I had to find one used, so yeah. I thought about machining a C-channel 24 scale chassis in aluminum. Actually, I could machine a C-channel carbon chassis if I wanted to.
Oh yeah, with that 4 mil thick.
Yeah, I could. That's not a bad idea. I've still got a whole sheet of 4 millimeter thick.
What's the depth of the C channel to be a C channel? Are the rules on that? Are there rules?
No.
I don't think there's rules
Like
on that.
a 16th or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Use 2 millimeter carbon and machine it into. Oh, use 3 millimeter carbon and machine it into a C channel. I'll just use 1. I'll probably use 1.5 or 2 millimeter. Yes, they're absolutely terrible to work on. Those tiny little screws are awful. So my thing is,
Phillips?
no, thankfully. My thing is if I can't get it to climb my waterfall in the shop, no go. No go. So that's going to be the standard. If it can't do the waterfall, it's got to go. For somebody that really hates working on them, you sure are building a whole lot of them. You can carry like 10 of them though in a backpack. So if you break one, you
can have a whole 24 scale hobby shop in your backpack.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Just build one each time so I don't have to work on the old one. That's not a bad idea.
Garage sale after comp.
Yeah. I hate them, but it's the most consistent comps around here. So, yeah, unfortunately, there aren't any 24 scale comps around me either. So,
well,
I'm building a truck to drive in my shop, and that's it.
I say for you, it's indoor season, and that'd be kind of fun. I can see the 24 scale picking up in your neck of the woods.
Well, but even still, I got to go to Crawler Canyon or something, which they just had their New Year's Crawler Canyon, and looked like it was a pretty good turnout. They always improve the course over the winter or over the fall break, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
funny that Kelly brings that up because we had just discussed this, and I believe you said you put it up there right now. Um,
Yep.
for
The team driver application is live on our website right now.
I wasn't gonna make like a social media post because I honestly don't want flooded like that, but I feel like the crew
Yeah.
here that watches, um, I,
Yeah, I mean we get messages all the time. We got a message a few weeks ago from somebody that said, "Hey, I've never used your products before, but I'd love to be a team driver." Like, man, I appreciate the gusto, but that's not really
yeah,
uh, how we do any of that. So I don't know if people think that we just run around
I
handing out
mean,
free stuff, but
to be fair, if I clicked on that profile and it was like some young kid, I'd actually think that's kind of cool. But if it's like a grown dude, then,
yeah,
I don't. Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't. I was tossing around the idea. I don't know if we actually talked about it, but maybe just leaving it up for the first week of January. Um, 'Cause I mean, I don't know how much we're trying to grow the team, but um, I know there's a bunch of cool people I've seen pop up on like our fan page that just seem to be all in, and that's the kind of like that's the kind of like enthusiasm I like to see, or like they're like
yeah,
stoked for these builds. So that in turn makes me stoked. So I like seeing that stuff, but that's usually activity like that's usually what I look for anyway. For
yeah.
candidates.
Yeah, we look much more for people who are helpful and people who post often and
Yeah.
build cool shit.
If
So
I've even reached out to people that's this has been a couple years, but I've reached out to people that hasn't even ran our product, but I just see what they do for their like local crawler community, and that I'm just impressed. So
yeah,
every once in a while, some people like that turn up, but yeah, we're after like just good people in the crawler community,
yeah,
because those people are kind of hard to come by.
yeah.
Surprisingly,
So yeah,
like
first of
really
all, it's not free;
outstanding.
it's discounted, but it's performance based and growth. And it's not even that. So I try to look at it more as a partnership than a sponsorship. You know, there has to be give and take. You have to shake each other's hands. You know,
Yeah,
if if it turns into a one way street, then it's not worth it for either person.
yeah,
So trying to find people that can help other people, or find people that do well in comps, or not even necessarily do well in comps, but have just a presence at comps, or people that help their local area a lot. And we'll send stuff. Just if you're yeah, you guys know what I mean. It's a long
yeah.
drawn out thing, but
To
if we're not just looking, and we get this stuff too. Hey, I'm all about helping people's YouTube channels and stuff like that, but I'll give you a discount, but I'm not going to send you a free.
yeah.
There are
To
certain
allow,
people that we do. There are certain people that we do, but those are people who we've met in person, we've dealt with in person, we've talked to for years. It's again, it's a friendship thing, not a sponsorship thing.
yep. I guess to highlight on that, while I was on my trip, um, we've had a team driver, Tim. Um, Man, I think he was on I think the first year the second
Second year,
year, we brought on team drivers. So he's been a team driver for 7, maybe 8 years. Um,
he won a carbon fiber chassis giveaway when we had 1,000 likes
yeah.
on Brazen. So like, it's been a long time.
But you've met him because you flew out to California that one time, but I've never met
Yep.
him personally. But I reached out to him when I was kind of in his neck of the woods, and I actually met up with him Christmas Eve. That was kind of like the day my like trip landed me in North California. But he actually invited me over for their Christmas Eve dinner. They're just that's the kind of I don't know, they're just great people. Tim's a great guy. His family's super cool. And they're just a good part of the community. And that's the kind of stuff that like I'm in for like friendships and stuff as far as like drivers to go. But
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a good time. I liked going up there. They're great people.
Yeah. Before this one gets too far up the list, have you guys thought about skids with no trans holes? I do run blank skids every now and then. It's not usually something that I run with other batches of stuff. It's just like if a new trans comes out that I think I want to integrate into something else, I'll run like 10 or so blank skids so that I can experiment with transmission placement in multiple things before I decide where I want the holes in the skid to be. And then if I have extras, I just put them on the garage sale site, on the garage sale part of our website. So every now and then there will be blank skids there. I can build, but I don't like to comp anymore. I think personally, well, just like this, the crawler scene where I live is slim to none, and that's the same thing here. We just don't have the terrain. So building, I personally really like building also. I think I enjoy building probably damn near as much as I like driving the trucks, just because I have to drive so far away to be able to drive the truck that by the time you end up spending an entire day driving somewhere and driving back from there to be able to play somewhere really cool.
Yeah.
Like Josh Hibner, his backyard, he's got a pretty cool crawler area in his backyard, and it's fun for a couple of hours, but even that's still an hour away from me. So, I got to plan on at least 4 hours to go there to run a couple of battery packs. Some people just like the word team. It makes them feel special. Yeah.
There was a point where that was like a big thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And there was a point to where people started. There was so much like we actually would tell our drivers to not do this, but there was a point a couple years to where other companies, their team drivers would just shove product down the throats of all the pages that people started like I think kind of bad mouthing anybody that said they're a team driver for any kind of brand.
Well, it happened when two certain companies ended up with like 100+ driver teams.
100. Can you imagine 100 people in your family?
I only like 3 or 4 of my family members.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a minute where just pages were spammed. It was actually it wasn't very fun. At least for me, I was like, this makes me uninterested in this page because I hated seeing all the biased spamming going on. Yeah. It's not like that anymore that I know of, but
not that I've seen in a while. So speaking of UTB 18s, I still have it and I'm still tinkering with it. I still hate it.
It's been 2 years.
I still hate it. It's still a terrible truck. It's still overpowered and not strong enough and just not useful in any way, shape, or form, I don't believe. I think this is probably more useless than a 24 scale to me. And that's saying a lot because I didn't drive my 24 scale for like 18 months. I haven't driven this. I drove this the day I got it stock. I drove it for an hour or two on the first revision of this chassis, and I've driven it an hour or two on this revision of this chassis. But when did this come out? Like, was it this year or was it last year? It had to be last year.
You've been sitting on that thing for a while. I'm gonna go out and say last year.
It had to be last year. Where's Josh? Where's your spreadsheet, Harley? When did the UTV 18 come out?
That was on the 2022 RCR account.
They're probably almost discontinued now. Anyway, we only planned on going for an hour tonight, which is about 4 minutes from now, but it's not a hard cutoff. So if we're still ripping, we can still rip.
Yeah.
But I'd prefer not to be here till 10 o'clock.
Yeah. I guess some latest news. I know I was telling you I did some of the high-low 0 degree and 10 degree skids. I made some of those up when I got back. Also, we got a new DSM design. Just a little more simplistic. Should be hitting the site in the next week or so. I'll post up. We'll keep an eye out, but I know everyone's
it's the same. Yeah, it's the same dimensionally. We just got rid of the center brace because some of these servos are getting a little portly.
Yeah, some of these really chonky servos. I've seen people filing out that center median I had in there. Plus, I saw earlier someone had dremeled it out to fit like the spool for their servo winch. They're sitting upside down. So this ought to help out, and it doesn't take out any strength. I mean, technically it does, but I think the weight the benefits of the lesser weight kind of counteract that. I don't think you're gonna break this at all. This is very sturdy still. But most of the time we're building stuff overly sturdy anyway, so we can stand to lose a couple grams or ounces.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that. We'll be posting it up.
Yeah. You're gonna do any hard body sliders for the hard line? It's a potential, but it's not on the top of my list right now. Like I said, I just doing these cab only sliders is the first thing. Sliders aren't really our specialty, but if nobody else starts doing them quickly, then we can absolutely.
I could do up a set of these. I mean, it'll just be the 3D printed variety, but I think if you just give me a couple measurements, I could whip up a set of these. No big deal.
Yeah.
I saw that order from Puerto Rico for these ATL sliders, and I was like, do I even have those still? Because I've been selling so much of the aluminum ones that I actually forgot I actually had these. Sometimes I'm impressed with my own work because I pulled those out and I was like, man, these things just look so nice. They're just smooth and seamless. So
yeah. Bear with his boots on was awesome.
Yeah. So he was running on the rocks quite a bit, and I saw him licking his paws, so I got to boot him up.
Yeah. How did he like the salt flats?
The salt flats were fine. He was actually raging around like a crazy man. It wasn't until we got to like the Oregon coast, the salt water, he was kind of weird on his feet. I saw him at first he's like, what the heck? But salt flats, he was just kind of raging around. it doesn't come across in pictures, but it was like 32 degrees when I was there. It was pretty cold. But that's high desert, late late December, so you're gonna have that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
currently 23 here.
you,
Yeah.
I did, however, hit. Uh, I am a part of the triple digit club on the Bonneville Salt Flats.
Oh yeah.
It is really weird to go like hauling across those salt flats because you got, if you're going towards Salt Lake City, you have like one peak. You just kind of want to keep centered because it's like driving a boat. It's weird. Like you can just, you don't know it, but you're actually drifting off.
Yeah.
Um,
There's no lines in it to keep you.
yeah, there's no way to get, yeah, it's like driving a boat. But I was
Huh.
like, I'm already here. There's a couple, there's like this Audi S4 or A4 that was hauling too. I just saw the lights just zipping across. I was like, huh, let's see if I can be on the triple digit club for Bonneville. So the Lexus doesn't really uh, try too hard to get it up to 100, but I was concerned about the roof, the tent I had on my roof that was just strapped down to the roof rack. Not sure what the drag coefficient of that is at 100 mile an hour,
Not
but
good.
yeah, it was starting to howl. It was fighting some resistance up there, but
Huh.
yeah, no, it's kind of cool. It's, if you've never been, it's cool to go check it out. I think I know someone in the RC community would be, they had a Mustang they were hitting. They'd go out to Bonneville every year. Do you remember who that was? I think he's,
Doug John out of either
yeah.
Indiana or Ohio. I don't remember
I,
where he's from now.
yeah, I don't know where he's at these days, but I think he had like a red
Yeah.
Mustang, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that
But
was Doug.
it'd be cool to go out there during those um like real speed runs, not some Lexus SUV being an idiot.
Yeah. During the actual races.
Yeah. It was kind of weird. So I was kind of wondering, I'm like, what makes the Bonneville so, um, like, what makes that the like test speed or the bed for speed runs? The only thing I can figure out is that the salt flats, just walking on it, it seemed like it had like an ice texture, but you still had grip. So maybe it's like a less like rolling resistance than like an asphalt. That's the only thing I can come up with. I mean, it is really flat, obviously, but I think maybe the salt flats had like less rolling resistance, which
And
people
you wouldn't
found
have to
out.
pave it either.
Yeah, yeah, that's so also if you're going from Nevada to Salt Lake City and you want to stop off at Bonneville, do not miss your exit because the reroute puts you at the next exit across the lake. So instead of 10 minutes, your U-turn becomes an hour and 20 minutes. So don't miss your exit. I didn't do
Some
that.
somebody just pulled in front of my shop. That's interesting.
Is that the Amazon truck?
I don't know. Pulled in right next to my Jeep. So anyway, it's 9:05. I'm gonna get off here and see what these people are doing in front of my shop.
They're gonna rent a U-Haul.
Odd place to park when they do that. I will be at KOH the 24th through the 4th, or 26th through the 4th, something like that. Definitely worth the drive. So, all right, I'm going to get off here. These people aren't moving. So, we will be back next week,
Yep,
next Monday.
I'm in for it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Kind of
Yes.
kind of random, but I figured why not?
Yeah.
So
So,
cool.
all right,
See
we'll
you
see you all next
week.
week.
Later.
Later. Happy New Year, everybody.